We will never replace them. Haley says, "What about you? Being a dad?" Lincoln looks hesitant, but says, "I'm fine. I'm gonna protect it from whatever else is out there." Haley says, "But we aren't parents anymore. How can we just do this?" Lincoln says, "Take my hand." And when Haley hears him say that, she tears up and takes it, and Lincoln says, "We are gonna be great parents." And we hear Tom from down the hill, "Ah, this piece of shit." And Lincoln and Haley start laughing, and Lincoln says, "I love you. I always will. In sickness and health. Until death parts us."
At the end of season 2, we really left things on a very, very high note. We saw the story of the first 2 seasons and the experiences that both Lincoln and Dave have had with these Vipers. The loss of Dave's family, the end of Lincoln's family and the loss to his, and seeing the end of Suburban Estates, seeing what happened to Dave in prison, and seeing Lincoln and Dave fighting all this time and what's happened between the two of them finally coming back and the revenge actually being made. And now it's kind of a question of what now? What is going to happen to our characters? Where has Dave gone, and what is going to happen at the ranch with all of our survivors? That really is in question, and we kind of get a glimpse of that at the end of the season as we get introduced and we see in Miles's point of view as that swordsman character makes a return, and we meet the character that we have been wondering about for most of season 2, which goes by the name the Queen, and she is called Lindsey. We have now seen that there is a massive organization in the city of Washington, D.C. being ran by these Vipers, and everything that we thought that we knew about the Vipers in those last few minutes really meant nothing in the end. And we really have been just keeping this under wraps for all of this time. And now that we truly know what the Vipers are, and now that we really know what's out there, now what is going to happen to our characters moving forward in this season? When season 3 begins, that episode is going to be very focused in Miles's point of view, as we see what the job is like to be a sergeant for Lindsey. Sergeants are basically a role of security. They are basically your security guards of this city, if you will. They're the ones that go out there and protect the city and protect the, residents that live there and make sure that the city stays standing. That is the job of a sergeant. And that is what Miles is, and his friend Steven that we got introduced to at the end of last season. We know what the Vipers do. They take out settlements, and it's a very killed or be killed type of philosophy with these people. But we're going to see them go a step further, and what Lindsey does is when they take out settlements, when they do what they do, they don't do it just to do it like Chris did. They do it because they do it to better their settlement. They take and they steal and they murder so they can have another day. And it's not even a bad philosophy. It's horrible what they do, but it's not even the worst philosophy in the world. It's very realistic when it comes to what you're doing in the world that you live in. And everybody has a story. Chris had a very big ego. Lindsey, on the other hand, keeps things more under wraps, but we know that she still does what she does only for her city to stay standing another day. That's really her ideology behind everything that she does. And that's really what we're going to see when we pick up this season. And the job of a sergeant from Miles is really going to show as he's going to try to find Lincoln and get the job done that he has been forced to do. When we pick up with Lincoln's group, we are going to see some of our people are still dealing with what exactly happened with the Vipers last season. Seeing what Sydney has gone through ever since she lost her sister and how that's affecting her after a few months have passed by. And Lincoln knowing that he is going to have another family to protect. And how is he going to lead a group, and knowing that more Vipers are still out there. And knowing that he has to still keep things normal for the child that they're about to have. It really is going to be a very hard, just very difficult amount of pressure that Lincoln is going to have to deal with as a leader this season. And we're really going to see a lot of paranoia within our group, and characters that may not agree with everything that Lincoln has done, which I think is very realistic in a situation like this. Having to change homes, having to face what they face. Not everybody is just going to fall in line, and we're going to see that, and we're going to see Lincoln's leadership this season be tested in a whole different way than it's ever been before. And of course, when we left last season, we saw Dave go his own journey and leave Lincoln alone. That is his objective right now. He knows where he did wrong, and I think Lincoln knows where he did wrong. And I think they both realize, and they both have a mutual respect. I don't think they like each other, but they have an understanding of what each other has gone through to a point where they can leave each other alone and they can go on their own journeys. Dave's story this season is one that we have been building to for a very, very long time. Dave's first story has ended. He has gotten revenge on the man that killed his family. But he does not have revenge on who caused it. And that is something that is still very up in the air for this man. The story with the Vipers and Dave is not over. And that is one of the things we're going to see this season. The story that is planned for Dave this season, I don't think anybody's going to expect. It is going to be very, very different. And it's the most unique story I think I've ever told in this show. And I am very, very excited to show you guys what he is going to go through as he has now made peace somewhat and is now going to try to put his life back together if there is still a life out there to live. And that's what we're going to explore this season within his character. Over the last 2 seasons, we have seen the Vipers do horrible things to our characters. We have seen this group really become something that needs to go, and it needs to go fast. We have seen all of these fights over these last 2 seasons, whether that be with Dave and Lincoln being forced to fight because the Vipers have done something to them as people. And then we saw the real deal last season. We saw what it really is like to face them head on. And we've seen our characters deal with that and do all these battles throughout all of last season. This season is the best way to describe. This is like your final boss in a video game. We are heading into what is the big moment that we have all been waiting to see with these Vipers. And what is that moment going to be? And how are our characters all going to be able to move forward? And are they going to be able to come out of this as heroes? And how is that journey going to be as they continue this story and as we delve into the Vipers more and more and more? How is Lindsey going to prepare her city for what is about to come? And really the question is, can Lincoln and Dave potentially come back together for one last fight? Or will things crumble before it even gets to that point?